path to becoming an animator is often non-linear, and my journey has been that case as well. I actually started working attractions at Disney World, and then 2 years later I found myself an intern at Pixar. How did this happen? Well, I thought I might as well take this video to talk about different strategies that I tried while in school and just give some tips along the way so that other animation students who are watching this can try them and see if it helps. Who knows? Might as well try, right? So a little bit about my backstory because it provides the context for why I did what I did. So I was working attractions at Walt Disney World. I did the Disney College program and worked at the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And after that, I worked at Magic Kingdom Parking. Now, while I was in Magic Kingdom Parking, that's where I kind of realized what I wanted to do with my life. I was working at Disney World, but there was no storytelling involved with the parking role. There was storytelling involved when I was at the attractions, at the Snow White ride. You know, you could kind of play into that as you're helping guests on and off board, things like that. But with parking, there was no storyline. And that's where I realized, oh, hey, I want to be an artist who gets to tell stories. Because before, I would just do a lot of drawings of Disney characters, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I felt really aimless. What I did was I emailed a bunch of animators at Walt Disney Animation Studios, and they offered a lot of really good advice. So that was the first thing I did. I reached out to people in the industry, just cold emailed them. The animation industry is small and very nice. If someone reaches out to me for advice, I typically do reply, and if I don't, it's because I forgot because I'm so busy. So I'll follow up if they don't, and if after like the second attempt following up, maybe they're just, way too busy to reply. But generally, everyone here is very nice. So I received a lot of very helpful advice, and a lot of them were saying go to an online animation school over a brick and mortar school, which is what I did. There are a lot of good animation schools out there. Animation Mentor is obviously the most well-known one. I personally did Anim School. There's iAnimate. There are other ones. I personally chose Anim School just because it has a little bit more of a classroom style structure, which fit better since I knew I would perform better in that type of situation. Some other advice, which I will reiterate here, is animation is extremely hard and it's difficult to break into the industry. I had one animator tell me just don't do it, or like know what you're getting into, essentially. So that was helpful for me to know, because the next thing that I did after reaching out, getting advice and networking was I worked 50 to 60 hours a week just animating. I was in Maya, setting all my keyframes, reading a bunch of animation books, taking other workshops at Animation Mentor or Aaron Blaze classes. I have a video on resources that I used in school, which will go more in detail into that. So feel free to check that out if you want some other pointers. But yeah, there's really nothing that outshines your hard work and time. And honestly, that is a big factor of why I was able to go to Pixar so quickly. Another very important factor which helped me get to Pixar was I had an amazing support system. So first and foremost, my family was very encouraging of it. They didn't really understand what I was doing or if there were any jobs in animation, but they knew that I was passionate about it and that I had found something artistic that I could pursue, and they had seen me throughout the years like do different drawings or try this and that, and like nothing really ever stuck. So they saw that I found a path and was headed towards it, and they were very supportive of my work. Anim School was also a fantastic support system. The way the school is structured is you have classes, and then you also have extra classes that you can take outside, which eventually become required once you pass a certain threshold in the curriculum. So there were extra reviews you would go to, there were art classes you could go to that would touch on things like gesture drawing or life observational drawing or modeling, and they have different types of classes, so you could learn and specialize in animation but then kind of put it within context with these other art classes. So I definitely did that and went to general reviews and started learning a very important lesson, which I will admit finally clicked while I was at Pixar, which is if you receive a note on your animation, the note may not be the solution, but it does point to a problem that you need to solve, and that's very common in the industry. I do that, to this day. That concept still applies, and you're going through general reviews and getting other instructors looking at your work and seeing what problems it is, you can get a better sense of what your weak points are in your shots rather than just listen to your one teacher, hit the notes, get more notes, knock them out. It kind of puts your strengths and weaknesses within context, and teaches you how to interpret notes, which is very important for when you're in the industry and you work on different shows with different style of directors and leads and all that stuff. They will give notes differently, and it's up to you to figure out what is the best way to implement the note. One approach that I took at Anim School, which I think was extremely effective, and what I recommend students to try, is at the end of each term, I would ask my instructor what my weak points are, and they would tell me, oh, you're weak at like body mechanics, oh, you're weak at fluidity, or you should get better at timing. And so going into the next course, I would choose my assignment to target that weak point and also introduce new elements that I hadn't animated yet. And so by the end of Anim School, I had a very robust, diverse reel, which got me into Pixar and got me into ILM. For example, my reel had full realistic body mechanics. You can see with this shot here, I was kind of going for more like Disney princess vibe with it, but still leans more realistic than cartoony. Then I followed up to improve my timing, which was a note from my teacher, get better at timing, and I did this really cartoony Looney Tunes style but full body mechanics. So I showed on my reel, hey, I can do cartoony and realistic full body animation. I can do weight in both styles. Then when it came to acting and performance and dialogue, I chose a realistic, more heavy, subtle, sad type acting, which is not my forte, but it was still good to try it and to showcase, hey, I can do it. And then after that, what did I do? I did a cartoony, humorous creature character. And so by the end of Anim School, I was able to get an internship at Pixar just with those shots showing I can do creatures, I can do humans, I can do cartoony, I can do realistic, I can do full body in different styles, I can do dialogue in both styles. And so by the end of Anim School, I could kind of show, hey, I can really animate in all styles, so I'm very employable, which I think helped me get into Pixar and really helped me get into ILM. Honestly, my lizard cartoony shot here is what got me into ILM, which is surprising because, ILM for VFX, normally like mocap creatures, Jurassic Park, all that stuff, but that is the shot that got me into ILM. You never really know. As long as you showcase your skill set and your artistic voice behind your demo reel, like the studios will see that and they will want to hire you based upon what you can provide for them, not just what you can copy, right? So yeah, that's basically my journey. I went from pushing buttons on a ride to setting keyframes, and I'm really glad that I had all those resources and the work ethic to help me along that journey. If there are any animators listening to this, like, what was your path to animation? Where did you start? What helped you get there? Feel free to share it in the comments so other students can listen and try out different strategies and all support one another as we all become better character animators. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. As always, happy animating.